if they're in the finals conversation. They got Harden and their big three and Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, and they have a chance of winning the finals. And sure, they keep going all in this season and try to go all the way.
The Clippers should try to extend Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and just see it through. It's the best they can do.
Ridiculous.
It hasn't worked out so far.
Over. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. No, because every not that this is the most, it's not like the metric that should determine what you do, but the few Clippers fans that I know and every Clippers fan that I have met, I like talking to them. I'm like, how do you feel about the state of the team? They're like, oh, there's no hope. They feel dread. They feel like a directionless franchise that took a big gamble and it just didn't work out. So to me, like, you're opening this new stadium in 2024 for the 24-25 season. It's supposed
that's
to be
why I'm saying
that.
that's why this was brought up, right? It's because this is on the horizon. So going into rebuild, not probably the option that you want when you're trying to unveil some new awesome stadium.
Unless it's a rebuild in which you're trading Paul George. They at least had some conversations for the number 3 pick. They had conversations with the Knicks, according to reports by others. Mark Stein was one of them. I believe Ian Begley was one of the others. Forgive me if I'm wrong there, but Paul George was involved in some discussions for trades. If the Clippers are, come January, February, if they're in the finals conversation, they got Harden and their big three and Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, and they have a chance of winning the finals. And sure, they keep going all in this season and try to go all the way. But if it doesn't work for any reason, whether it's come deadline time or next offseason, I think Steve Ballmer, maybe you really overpay for Bob Myers 1 year removed from his time with the Warriors. Maybe you go for a big splash like Masai Ujiri, get a new GM, a new front office, and then have a clean slate entirely top to bottom in the organization. I could see that extreme being something that makes sense for Ballmer moving forward, having a new stadium where then you build something that you had that was originally appealing to Kawhi Leonard. Like, Kawhi saw potential with the Clippers in part because of their young players and in part because of the system that was being built there. And they got rid of a lot of it, but they kept some of the bones that was appealing, that made the Clippers a team that was ready for a star. So I think if you can build that again, build more like a small market franchise typically does, that makes more sense to me rather than doubling down on these guys who don't play, can't stay healthy, and have not proven that for years.
Do you think anybody would trade for Kawhi Leonard? I know that sounds insane on the surface, but
I do.
I mean, wouldn't you just be so worried? They have catered to him in such a unbelievable way that you got to just like turn the keys over and let him do whatever he wants to do. I think at this point, because that's the way he has been treated. And I don't know if you'd be able to go about it as a normal team with him. I mean, Kevin, I was at the game where he was awesome in the first half in Memphis, came out in the second half and did not play. And then sat the second half. Everybody thought, okay, did he get injured? They never said if he got injured. They never said anything was wrong with him. All right. No, it's one of the only times I've ever been at a game and there was literally nothing said. Like, like you go to the PR people and it's like, hey, what happened? Nothing happened. Okay. And then we were like, all right, well, maybe he's planning on playing the second half of the back-to-back in New Orleans. Maybe that's the case. But it was a winnable game. I think it was like a 4 or 5 point game at halftime. Guy just doesn't play in the second half. I've never seen anything like this in 20-something years. Then Ty Lue was like, he's not going to be able to play tomorrow night, or he is going to be able to play tomorrow night, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And then people went in the locker room and interviewed Westbrook and interviewed Powell and interviewed these guys. None of them had any idea that he wasn't playing in the second half. It's like he just decided not to play in the second half. And they were all like beside themselves. They didn't even have time to, like, they didn't even Nobody even like talked it through so that everybody had an answer as to what happened. None of the players, the coach, the PR staff, like nobody. It was just like he just didn't play. Okay. And so like being there for that and seeing how that one played out, and it was so obvious that no one had any idea what was going on. He just walked out in the second half and said, I'm not playing. It was like, I don't know, man. Like, can anybody deal with that? Like they kind of made their bed with it.
The answer is yes. Like if a team would come deadline time. If the Clippers are sputtering, they're in the play-in conversation, and a team calls up and wants Kawhi Leonard for the final stretch of the season. His last 35 games, he averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. He shot 47% from 3, 90% from the free throw line. He was an efficiency monster. He was unbelievable. Like, it was,
and then he tore his knee again.
Yes, exactly.
So,
but for 3 months, from early January until the middle of April, he was a dominant force, playing 36 minutes per game. So,
it was a real thing that he may heads up take down Durant and prove to be the best player in that series. That's what we thought after game 1.
And in game 1, he had 38 points and 41 minutes. And then in game 2, he had 31 points and 38 minutes. In both of his games, he shot over 50% from the floor. He was getting to the free throw line, putting up the same type of numbers that he did during the last 35 games of the regular season. So for a team that come deadline time in February, if they're like, you know what, we get a chance to win the championship, let's go for Kawhi Leonard all in. And if he adds something to our team, we're going to win the championship. If he can stay healthy for 3 months, April, May, and June, that's what matters most. So if I'm a team in February, I'd want to load manage the heck out of him for February, March, and April. And then hopefully April, May, June, that guy stays healthy and you win a title. Yes, he's worth it, even though he's an expiring contract, even though he can't stay healthy, even though he needs to play by his own rules.
So would you extend him?
I would. I'm all in for this season. If I'm the Clippers, I'm all in from now until February. I'm all in for now until it's time to reevaluate in January or February. I'm all in today, but I may not be come early 2024.